Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Affirmation Addict podcast. Today is July 1st, which means it's exactly halfway through the entire year. And the reason I wanted to record a podcast today is because New Year's resolutions and stuff normally are forgotten by this time of year. And so I wanted to take this episode to bring some stuff back up, think about where you are, how far you've come, and just give a little bit of advice because I know that reflection can sometimes seem super overwhelming. So I just wanted to chat about the mid-year and maybe give some tips on how to move forward from this point forward, no matter where you've been this past 6 months. So I hope you enjoy this episode and happy July 1st. Hi everyone, my name is Pyle Agrawal and I want to welcome you to the Affirmation Addict podcast. Affirmations have changed my life, and now it is my mission to help you use them to change yours by using affirmations every day to manifest things your way. My goal is to make affirmations attainable and accessible to every single person, including you, because you have the ability to take control and create your reality. So come with me on my journey and let's see what we can manifest together. So everyone, happy July 1st. And if you didn't hear or didn't realize, it is exactly 6 months since it was January 1st. And January 1st, I know for a lot of us can feel like a really monumental day because it's where it's like a new start and it's a new beginning and it's setting all these new intentions and these goals. And I think it's a really great marker to just keep ourselves in check as the years go by because time flies. But I don't think it's fair to us as people, as humans, to make January 1st like the biggest day of the year because you always have the opportunity to start fresh. And that's kind of the inspiration behind today's episode because it is the middle of the year. So I wanted to do a little check-in with you and walk you through a couple of questions you can ask yourself, reflect on, or even journal through, as well as just give a little bit of my perspective on what it means to really be in this new year and mid-year, and kind of how to maybe carry yourself and what I'm going through because I know that we're all on a really similar vibration and going through similar things. So I just wanted to chat on here as I started reflecting around how my year has been going. I wanted to share that with you. And so the first thing I want you to think about is how has 2019 been for you so far? And what have you experienced? What are some words you would describe it with? And for me, 2019 has been honestly such a learning experience because I had a really, really big family health kind of medical problem at the beginning of the year that really took things for a turn, and really made me dig deep and muster up my deepest faith and hope. And it all worked out so miraculously. And I still have not shared about that because I'm trying to find the perfect way to share that story and those health miracles that we experienced. So I am working on that, I promise, because I know that's something a lot of us are going through. But also that delayed one of my biggest projects. My app, in my mind, I never set a hard deadline because I'm not a deadline kind of girl. My app in my mind was going to be ready by January 1st. And as you guys know, it's still not in the App Store, which is a huge 6-month delay. But the biggest thing I realized was if it launched 6 months ago, I would not have been prepared. I would not have had it as good. I wouldn't have all these little fine details and I wouldn't have really known how to connect it. So the timing and the amount of time it's been taking, I know there's a bigger reason behind it. And instead of getting caught up in, oh, what are people going to think? Which, to be fair, I totally had those moments. I started thinking about how I can surrender, and I started to take faith rather than fear, and I started to take my own inner knowing rather than my subconscious mind's habit of what are people going to think. And so that was one of my really big learning curves is how do I get over that fear and everybody else's kind of expectations that I'm really putting on myself on behalf of everybody else? Another big thing that happened was I got engaged and to the love of my life and my soulmate. And you guys know I have a podcast on that about how we met. So if you guys want to tune into that, that is already an episode that's created for you. And then also just so many other things like figuring out, okay, this app is created and now what's next? And so I've been working on more things that are coming to integrate this with the app and just make this a bigger community. And it's not been kind of exactly according to my plan, but if you listen to the last few episodes, that's what I've been really learning through and growing through is letting go. And yes, I have these intentions for 2019, but I'm also leaving space for miracles. I'm also leaving space for the universe to work in my favor rather than thinking I know best. I let go of that kind of ego and cockiness and surrender that, okay, I trust my highest self, and my highest self is also trusting and comfortable with the unknown. So that's seriously one of my biggest takeaways. And 2019 has not been exactly what I expected. I didn't plan everything out and it was exactly up to par. It actually was even better than I expected, and I'm in a much more happier place. But it did take a lot of ups and downs. And so that was my 2019. And I wanted to share that because I wanted you to maybe be able to relate to part of that and just think of a different way to see your own story. And I wanted to ask you and for you to think about what are some of the things that you have been cultivating into your life. So what are some of the things that you've been calling more of into your life? And what are some of the things that you've been shedding out of your life? For me, I have been cultivating a lot more self-confidence and authority. I've been learning that I'm not the best, especially in like business situations, at being assertive and speaking my truth, even when I know I'm right. And I've been shedding a lot of toxic friendships and obligations and conventional thinking. I'm planning my wedding, and so really the theme of it is kind of not being conventional. We're not going to have a bachelorette party or a bachelor party. We don't want to do bridesmaids and best man and groomsmen and maid of honor. We're really trying to be as unconventional as possible because I think me and Tom are an unconventional couple, and I think the way we were raised was more unconventional than conventional, and so I really wanted to highlight that because that's something I really believe in. And so I'm really shedding the standards and societal patterns and expectations that we take a lot of pressure onto ourselves. And so if that is something that sounds really nice to you, I recommend just start trying to shed that as well. You have full permission to just go against society, go against the curve if you really want to. Like, it is in your hands. And I want you to reflect on how have you been talking to yourself? How have you been thinking of yourself? And what types of things have you been talking to yourself with? What type of words have you been using when you look at yourself in the mirror? What types of thoughts pop into your mind when you see yourself in the mirror at the gym or a yoga class? The reason I'm bringing this up is because in the end, the root of everything, as you guys know, in my opinion, is your sense of self and your self-awareness. And so I want you to just answer that question with no judgment and just really reflect on, how do you see yourself? How have you been treating yourself so far this year? And what can improve and what can you change? And there's always room for growth. So improvement doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It just means that you can go even better. For me, I am really learning to love my body unconditionally. I think in the middle, I was really good, but I think just becoming bigger on social media and being in the eyes of more people and kind of showcasing my product and my creation has made me more insecure, honestly. And so that's what I'm really working through now, is being more conscious about the way I talk to myself and the way I see myself and being proud of who I am. Because a lot of the times when you're putting yourself out there, it starts to kind of fire back at insecurities. And so I noticed that in the middle, I was so good and I was really confident and really full of self-love and unconditional self-love and non-judgment. But I do think that's shifted. And so for me, that's a big goal of mine, is to be even better. And I have been consciously saying like really good self-confidence and self-love affirmations, but I think I need to really embody that in my thoughts as well. And so I want to actually every single day commit to myself at least 10 minutes, no matter what. Even if I have a meeting at 8 a.m. or 6 a.m., I'm going to wake up 10 minutes earlier to give myself that time and to really stay in my own power. And another thing I wanted to ask yourself is, how are you in relationship to other people? What are your relationships like? How do you feel in your social groups? How do you feel at work related to other people? I think it's super important to understand the way you are connecting with the people around you and reflecting on, have the people around you who you see day to day changed? Have they grown? Have they gone through different things? Because the people around you are really, really telling and very, very indicative of what's coming your way as well. Like your connection with people and the people you choose to connect with more, whether it's virtually and especially in person, they really have a big impact on your energy and on your entire life. And so I want you to reflect on, what are your relationships like? What are your social interactions like? How do you feel? And how do you think people perceive you? One thing I noticed is I have become a lot more introverted and loving kind of staying to myself, staying small, staying close with me and Tom, or just me and family. And I notice that sometimes in social groups, I get really worked up or really drained because I just can't handle all that energy overload. So that's my choice, whether I either change my social group or I have to change the way I react and really acknowledge, okay, this is how I am. This is how I want to be. And the next thing I want you to think about is, what are some of the things that have been the best memories, and what are some of the things that have been the best learning experiences? Sometimes we forget to just sit and reflect. And I know if you were making the declaration jar with me, I would encourage you to use this question to open that declaration jar and really check in to see, did you manifest some of those things that you didn't even realize that you wrote down in the beginning of the year? Because sometimes some of the best things are things that you always wanted, that you declared, you didn't really plan for, or you just knew they were coming and you allowed them to happen. So I want you to take a minute and reflect on, what are some of the things that you manifested, and what are some of the things that you really learned from and you really grew through. For me, some of the things I manifested was just my most amazing proposal and my app finally being done. So now we're just kind of getting all the App Store stuff ready, but it is officially done. And those are two of my biggest things, as well as the good health of my family. That was a really big one. And another thing I really think I manifested was my dream wedding venue in India. It just worked out and we found the most beautiful place, and I'm excited to share that with you because it's just a really cool story on how it worked out. And I've been learning a lot through wedding planning as well. So I'm very much so into the whole conscious and aware wedding planning movement. And so I will definitely be sharing more once I actually have more details. Some of the things I learned through, I already mentioned before, but a lot of it was just growing into myself and my fullest and truest expression of myself. And I learned a lot through the mastermind. I hosted on a nudge, on a whim, my first kind of 6-week full-on course, and it went so beautiful. And there were so many transformations. And I really learned that I am capable of doing something that is just a calling. And it really helped me grow through and grow with 10 other ladies who were so powerful. And it was a really cool experience, as well as the entire app creation journey. And another thing that I think you can think about is, what is your next intention for the year? What is your intention? What do you want to manifest for the rest of the year? Because, okay, the year has happened. Maybe it went so amazing. Maybe it didn't go at all how you wanted it to. And either of those are totally the same amount of energy. They are just the same. The past is the past, right? So take this day, take this podcast episode, whenever you're listening to it, as your new marker, as your set an intention, as your new start, your fresh start, because you have the choice to choose when your fresh start is. It doesn't have to be the first day of the month. It doesn't have to be every birthday of yours, every new year. It can be anytime, any day, any moment. So let your fresh start right at this moment and ask yourself, what do you want to carry into the rest of the year? What do you want to manifest for the rest of the year? What is your intention? And that can be completely different from the beginning of the year, and that is totally fine because people change. I believe I have changed so much just in the past 6 months. I think I've grown in so many ways, and I think I have a lot more growing to do in so many ways. And so I have a different set of intentions. I have a new set of expectations for myself. And so I really invite you to take that time and sit down and really cultivate a vision of what you want this next half of the year to look like. And another thing you can do is start scripting about it. So maybe fast forward to December and script what a day in the life will look like. Write it down in present tense as if you're writing like a letter to yourself, saying, okay, today I woke up and I got onto a flight and I came back the same day. I flew business class, and whatever your kind of intentions are. For me, it's all about my app. It's all about traveling for the wedding planning. And it's all about just moving out of Washington because we'll soon be moving as Tom gets out of the Army. So it's really a transitional phase for us this next year. So my scripting has been looking like finding a new home in Arizona that we really love and that's inspiring, and finding a space to kind of make it like a space for us to come to as a community, come together. And of course, the app being able to empower and starting to do corporate workshops and events for schools and really expanding the reach of Affirmation Addict to more and more avenues. And that is really what's been on my scripting list. And so I really want you to take some time, have fun with it, be creative, don't judge yourself through the process, and let yourself create a script for a day in your life on maybe December 1st or December 30th, whatever you want to do. But what does your life look like at that point? What have you manifested by then? What is going your way? What have you grown through? What have you learned through? Because the more you're clear and the more you start declaring, the more it's actually going to happen. That is the power of your words. And so I want you to, whether you got the time to reflect as you were listening, or take a second and rewind this, and as you're listening through, just take your journal and go through each question and give yourself the time of day to just really acknowledge how far you've come and set an intention for where you want to go next and what the rest of the year is going to look like. I do want to remind you not to hold so much pressure on yourself, and don't judge your journey. Just observe and be aware of it, but don't start filling yourself with judgment and think that, oh, I'm not exactly where I wanted to be, or I'm so behind. Because as you guys know, in the quantum field and in the way the universe works, there's really no sense of time. It's just when, and when you're experiencing it, when your body is ready to experience it, and when your soul is. It's not like a date. Those dates don't really matter when it comes to manifestation. So that's one thing I really want you to remember as you're going through this, because I know the mid-year can sometimes be a little taunting or a little overwhelming. And I've been there too, and I've felt that way as well. And a couple things that really help me remember that it's okay to be exactly where I am is really affirming that I'm exactly where I need to be. And this is one of the affirmations I say for so many different things, whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear, or in this case, whether it's just overwhelm and you're worried about those deadlines. So I highly, highly recommend that, and just enjoy that process. If you're not where you want to be, maybe ask yourself, why am I not here? Look for an understanding of, was I not taking the proper actions? Was I just holding back because of fear? Dig a little deeper. Don't just sit there and like wallow in your emotions. Take an action, do something about it, and shift your energy in any way that you can. And if you guys need any help ever to shift your emotions, shift your energy, at the moment I am offering my highest self consultations, and in that we get on a phone call and we really talk through what we're going through and creating a really solid action plan with lots of affirmations for you for exactly what you need to do, with a routine and rituals and just different, whether it's techniques like cutting the cord or journal prompts that will really help open up those channels, or breath work, whatever I think that will suit you, and we talk through it together to create that plan for you. That's what we do in that highest self consultation. So if you're ever interested in that, check it out on my website. under the Work With Me tab. That's where all my packages and my one-on-ones are, and those are always changing, so make sure you check back at it. And another thing, I wanted to remind you that if you are ever interested in joining my mastermind, you can join the waitlist on my website. So I will be probably relaunching the mastermind in the fall, before the new year, before the end of the year, and that will be my only mastermind for the rest of the year. So if you are interested in that, make sure you get onto the waitlist, which you can also find on my website, or message me if you have any questions about it, and I would be happy to answer them and help you through to determine if the mastermind is a good fit for you. And another thing I wanted to mention is related to the mastermind, that I have a little giveaway going on. So if you are enjoying this episode, you can leave a review on the iTunes podcast app. And you can do this whether you have an iPhone or an Android. So if you have an iPhone, you can just go to the podcast app and leave a review, and you'll be automatically entered into potentially winning a free spot in my mastermind. But if you have an Android, what you need to do is on your computer, go to itunes.com and download the app of iTunes and create an account. And on the website, you can leave a review. Once you create like a login for iTunes, it requests your credit card information, but they don't charge you because you're not downloading any apps. It's just kind of the way iTunes works. So you will input your credit card info, and that's where you can leave a review. So it is open to iTunes users. It is open to Android users as well. And you just have to go to iTunes on the computer versus your phone and go through that. And so if you have any trouble with that as well and you want to join that giveaway, just message me and I can help you out. And so, if you did enjoy this episode, please let me know what your midyear reflections were like. I would love to hear back from you and just to know if this episode resonated with you. Thank you for making it all the way to the end of this episode, and I hope you have just the most beautiful day ahead and the most beautiful second half of the year ahead. It is such a beautiful time. It's summertime, so enjoy that warmth, enjoy the sunshine wherever you are, and let that energy soak inside of you and invigorate you and activate you in so many different ways, because it is really powerful. So I hope you leverage that into setting these new intentions for yourself for the rest of the year. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending some time with me, and I hope I get to talk to you soon. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys really soon. Mwah. Bye. That's all I have for you guys, and I just want to say thank you again for spending some time with me. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, head over to my social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to my website if you want to subscribe to my email list, which is affirmation-addict.com. I cannot wait to hear from you guys, and I will talk to you guys super soon. Have a good one, you guys. Bye!